Hi, thanks for joining and welcome to our morning basket with a space theme. All right, I just wanted to take a minute and show you what's in our current morning basket. If you're not familiar with what a morning basket is, it's not near as complicated as it may seem to you, but it's just where we keep what we're going to do in the morning for read alouds and some like somewhat interactive something or another I always keep in there as well. And then any character building books that we're working on or treats that we're working on in books style. And then usually I try to incorporate it with whatever we're learning about. Sometimes that's getting deeper into a math concept, or like right now we're doing science and we're doing space. So I have quite a bit of space books that I'm rotating through. So for the main part of it, the core part of it that pretty much stays the same for the time being, is what I'm going to start you with. So we always start with this is the Bible Made Easy for Kids. So before this, for the Bible component, we were using Long Story Short Family Devotions, and I love it. I love that it's short and it's perfect for a broad range of ages because currently I have a almost 4-year-old, also a 6-month-old, but he doesn't really participate, so I'm not going to count him. And then a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old who's almost 8, and then my oldest is 11. So pretty big age range. So I wanted to make sure I could cover that. Sorry, I keep looking over there. I wanted to make sure I could cover something for all ages, and that works really well. But we've been doing it for quite a while, so I was ready to change it. And I thought it would be perfect starting our new school year with this, and so far it's great. And I love that how it breaks down basically every part of the Bible into a much easier, comprehensible stage or way for kids to understand. So this is what we're using for that. And we always use Life of Fred. We love Life of Fred, and currently we're on dogs. We took a break from it for a little bit. Sometimes like we'll take something out if we're going to add something else in. Like for example, we're doing science, but I'm like noticing my daughter needs a little extra help in the math area, so we'll kind of pull something into it. So usually I try to take something out because our morning basket can get kind of lengthy. But anyway, so we're back into it, and we all love Life of Fred, and from my youngest to my oldest loves this. Going back into like the Bible part of it, we have this cute little Dear God letters, and it's really simple. There's not very much to it, but it's one page I'll read a day, and it's just has a little Bible verse at the end. We kind of talk about whatever it is that the question being asked is. And let's see, I'm just trying to. Oh, we always do poetry first. We start it with reading poems or reciting ones that we have memorized. So one of our favorite ones is The Llama Who Had No Pajama. We actually have memorized poems from The Good and the Beautiful, and I have those printed out for everybody, but they're pretty much, we've been doing them for 2 years at this point, so they're all pretty much, they all know all of them. Even my little one knows, she knows a couple. But anyway, to add in, we use this, and it's got short, long, funny, sad. It has a lot. So I love this for, again, covering. My thing was wanting to make sure I got something that isn't just for the 4-year-old or isn't just for the 11-year-old. And that works really well for that. My favorite character training type book is the Children's Book of Virtues. And we're getting ready to change this out because this is another one we've had in here for quite a while, and we've read every single one of these stories more than 2 or 3 times each, especially their favorites. They have a couple favorites in here that they absolutely love. But in a few more months, I'm going to change this into either the Children's Book of Heroes, or the other one that I was thinking is Children's Book of Good Manners or something like that. I'll make sure I get that in here for you so you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, and then we'll probably just kind of rotate through those. Another one I'm really excited to start because we just started our new school year. So we haven't actually opened this one up yet, but we plan on it probably within the next 2 weeks. But this is What Should Danny Do? And I didn't realize there's the inside here, there's actually another one in this series that's a girl, and she wants to be an astronaut. So I wish I would have got that one because it would tie in better. Oh yeah, here. What would Darla do, or what should Darla do? So they have a bunch of books in this series, but that would have tied in better with our space stuff. But no worries. Anyway, it's basically 9 stories in one, and you read a section, and then you choose what should he do in that particular situation, and then you go on to that page to figure out, like, but it's not on every page. So what should Danny do? And I love that. I think this will be really good. They'll love that kind of stuff. I love the interactive stuff. There's parts that I like to be able to just read aloud, let them play. And we usually let them do like Magna-Tiles or Legos or Play-Doh or coloring. Since we're doing science, I have a really cool science sensory bin that they all love, that they utilize. I don't bring it out every day because I don't want it to lose its luster. But anyway, then there's times where I'm like, okay, they might start fighting over whose blue Lego this belongs to. So we need something to pull them back in. And this is another one that we haven't started yet, but I'm excited to start, is Miss Molly's School of Manners. I really wanted to put some extra effort into character training and building this year. So this is from Usborne, and I'm an Usborne consultant, so I tend to tie in a lot of Usborne books, and this one's really great. I've read through it myself without them, just to get an idea. It says, meet Algernon, a little raccoon who was never very polite, until the day he came across Miss Molly's School of Manners. Follow his lessons with Miss Molly as he learns to pay attention in the Listening Carefully lab, explores the library of lovely language, picks up some table manners in the dining hall of decorum, and finally becomes a good sport in Good Sports Day. So I think this one would be really great for all of them as well. So for math, I didn't really have anything other than the Life of Fred math. So I wanted to get something else that might be interesting or fun. So we're starting with circumference. Definitely more for my older two. So I'm not really sure exactly how I feel about this series just yet, but I think this will be perfect for when they're older. So I might put this one back. We did get it from the library, but I definitely would be interested in getting started with it once maybe the middle two are like middle school age, because I think it would be perfect for that time. But no harm in introducing them to these concepts earlier, for sure. So for our current read aloud, we're doing the Chronicles of Narnia. My random bookmarks, right? So anyway, we'd already read the first book, and now we're on book number 2, about halfway through. And like I said, I like to do the interactive thing, pulling them away from the sibling arguments or whatever. And we love the EBoo conversation cards. We have Good Manners as well. And we're kind of blasting through these. What do I do? And they love them. They love answering them, and getting their own card is when they get it correct. And if you're not familiar, I'll just show you. Some of them, the Good Manners ones, are old school. You know, like, how should you answer the phone? And they're like, well, it's your phone. How would you answer it differently? So, well, because the answer is, you know, this is the Barbino residence. Who is calling? May I ask who is calling? It's like, well, you know who's calling because it shows on your phone. Like, they were confused. It made me feel really old. But I just thought it was, some of them were, even though they were old school like that, it was kind of cool. So you would ask them, well, what should you do if you borrow something? And they all have a turn to answer, and if they get the correct answer, they get to hold the card. And whoever has the most cards at the end could win, but we don't play it like that. And the answer would be always return it and in good condition. And we kind of talk about that, and it has opened up really good discussion. And there's a good amount, and they're actually kind of color coded here. So some have to do with what was this one? Like meaning any type of social interaction. Some has to do with like parties and table manners and sportsmanship, like all kinds of different things. So we always enjoy those. Sometimes we only do a couple, sometimes we do several. It just depends on what we're utilizing in our morning basket that day. We don't necessarily use every one of these books every single day. The main ones we do, like the Bible thing, usually Life of Fred more often than not gets done. These almost every day are read aloud, obviously. And I'm going to move on to our subject specific books that we're doing, and I have a lot of those that we're going to rotate through. The current one that we have all loved is The Sun is Kind of a Big Deal. This is super cute for all ages, and it's like very modern for them to understand, and it was really great. I loved it. this. They love it too. So we'll probably do this one over and over. We just happened to be talking about our science lesson that day was going to be about the, excuse me, the sun, how it affects so many other things than just our planet. And so I was like, oh, this would be a perfect one to do in morning basket for that day. And I'm probably going to add it in again at least a couple more times just because they really enjoyed it and there were some pretty cool things in here. So for the other science, let me pull those over, that are going to be basically like in rotation, is Who Was Galileo? And this one obviously is not one I would read in one sitting if you're familiar with the Who Was books. So I'm probably going to, I might take a break from our actual read aloud because usually I do 1 or 2 chapters from that depending on how much other stuff we've read and, you know, gauging the kids' interest at that point. So I might do this in place of that because we have a specific science lesson about Galileo. But I'm going to make the older, going to have the older two do some sort of like an extension and kind of research more about Galileo and things that he did and understanding his life a little bit more. So I also might have them take turns reading independently, not necessarily independently, maybe aloud to each other or to me or just the 3 of us, while the littles are doing a playtime or something. So I'm not exactly sure I'm going to incorporate this one, but just to give you an idea of how you can change it up when you have a large family or lots of different ages. Planets from National Geographic Kids. And this is one they can actually, like, some of them could read themselves, and I might do that. Sometimes we do have that where they'll want to take a turn reading one of the books aloud. I Am Neil Armstrong. And I really wanted to discuss Pluto, and it's funny because just last year, Pluto is now a planet again. So our science is actually doing the lessons as if Pluto is no longer a planet. So we've been really getting into that. My son is like, I can't believe they've done this back and forth. If they do that again, like, it's funny. So anyway, I wanted to make sure I got something that covered that. And this was recommended on one of the homeschool Facebook groups I'm in. So Pluto from planet to dwarf. And so we're going to talk about that more once we get into, like I said, kind of corresponding these lessons or these books to our particular science lessons covering that subject. There's No Place Like Space and all about our solar system. This is revised and I feel like it does not have Pluto. Let me just look really quick because one of them used to. No, it doesn't. It's not listing Pluto as a planet. But that's okay. We'll again discuss that. And just a couple more. I have Life in Space. Again, another little Usborne reader, and it's about astronaut life. So I wanted a variety of covering different space-related topics. And then some of these are like the ones I own. So this one is Space for Kids who really love space. So this one's a really fun one. We've actually done this when we first did space a few years ago. Lots of fun, interesting facts. So some of these I'll leave out for them afterwards so that they're free to look through whenever they want. And some of them we keep just specific for Morning Basket. I hope you found this helpful in some way, and I'll be sharing more of these as soon as our Morning Basket changes. So we'll be doing this one for the next few months, at least until summer's over. So if you have any questions or want to see more details about one of these in particular, please feel free to reach out or just leave a comment below.